Gentleman yields. Mr. Johnson recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for holding this hearing, and thank you to the witnesses for your testimony today. In 2015, President Obama signed the FAST Act, which was the first federal law in over a decade to provide long-term funding certainty for surface transportation infrastructure planning and investment. Fast forward to 2021, and we saw President Biden sign the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act into law, furthering Democratic leadership's commitment to improving this nation's infrastructure that had been neglected for so long. We've seen many positive results in just the first year of implementation of the IIJA, including implementation of the largest federal investment in transit in this nation's history. In August of last year, the Federal Transit Administration announced funding for the Low or No Emission Vehicle Program, and this program provides funding to help transit agencies buy or lease U.S.-built low or no emission vehicles, including related equipment and facilities. I was happy to hear that the Metropolitan Atlanta Rapid Transit Authority received $19.3 million in grants to purchase 25 electric buses and charging infrastructure. Ms. Hammond, for decades, infrastructure in Georgia and other states has suffered from a systemic lack of investment. In fact, in 2021, the American Society of Civil Engineers gave Georgia a C grade in its infrastructure report. The historic Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act is beginning to make real and positive impact on the lives of millions of Georgia residents while spurring economic development and creating a generation of good-paying union jobs, which positions Georgia to continue its significant role in building the 21st century economy in our great nation. Without federal funding, how would America be able to rebuild old and build new infrastructure to secure our future as a world economic leader?
In short, we wouldn't. I'd like to recognize that in Georgia and states across the country, state legislators are enacting state revenues to participate in and partner with the federal government in building our nation's infrastructure. So much progress has been made in recent years. I would say that we need to do this from both the federal, state, and local area and get our users involved in paying their fair share for the use of the system.
Thank you. The IIJA provides $50 million in funding for the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Supportive Services Program through 2026. Can you speak to the importance of this program in improving access of small businesses to compete as prime and subcontractors on federally assisted contracts?
I would say today you've heard the common theme of workforce challenges. There's not enough of us at any aspect of the transportation delivery process. The disadvantaged business programs are going to help bring new partners into the transportation delivery process. The more we can help people contribute to the mission that we're on to invest in our nation's infrastructure, the better. So I encourage more of these kinds of programs and the ability for disadvantaged businesses to come into the business.
Thank you. Mr. Williams, you testified earlier about the great work that the state of Texas is doing in terms of diversifying workforce. What is the state of Texas doing to encourage diversity in terms of businesses that are doing business in Texas?
Thank you, Congressman. You mentioned the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program, and that has been one that we have been very invested in and growing over the past several years. As our program has grown, so too has our investment in disadvantaged business enterprises. One of the things that I would call attention to and ask that Congress and USDOT continue to look at is just the threshold that's established for companies to remain qualified as disadvantaged businesses. As the inflation and the cost of projects has risen, So too does some of the criteria in terms of net worth and the receipts for those companies. Those two also need to keep up so we can keep those companies in the program and help them grow and become more established.
Excellent point. Thank you, Mr. Williams, and thank you all for your testimony. And with that, I yield back.